The story continues, and Cain visits Diam to give him some of the monster materials that he has, as he was advised by the minister Magnet to do so. Diam then takes Cain to a room, and he tells him to put the materials here. Cain mentions that this room is too small for the materials, and Diam wonders if they are all like the red dragon he has in his mansion. Cain states that they are not as impressive as that, and he mentions that he just has an earth dragon. Diam thinks that even an A-rank party can barely take that down, and Cain states that he doesn't know much about it, but it's a big one. Diam then tells Cain to take out the monsters on the training ground, and he states that the knights will move them later. Cain then takes out the monsters, and Diam is surprised to see so many powerful monsters. Diam can't believe that a kid could kill all these, and he asks Cain if he is a hero, or a disciple of God. Cain hesitates for a moment, and he mentions that he is just the son of Margrave Garm. Diam then mentions that he won't probe too deeply, and he states that it will take some time to appraise this many monsters. Cain states that it's fine, and he mentions that he will come when it's done. He tries to leave, but Diam stops him, and he mentions that he would like Cain to help him train the knights, and meet their captain. He mentions that their captain loves strong people, and he would like to show off what Cain can do. Cain hesitantly agrees, and Diam introduces him to the knights, as the Baron who defeated 50 orcs. Cain asks him where the captain is, and Diam states that she will be here when the mock battle begins. Cain wonders if it's going to be some scary dude, and Diam states that Cain doesn't need to worry about that. Diam then begins the mock battle, and one of the knights states that the Royal Chivalric Order shouldn't fight a child. Diam states that he can go first if he is worried, and the knight faces off against Cain. The knight grants Cain the first move, and Cain uses the boost spell to accelerate and finish the battle. Diam then tells Cain that this was an excellent battle, and he should take on the entire order next. Cain is then about to battle the Order of Knights, and a girl shows up there, and she mentions that an entire order of knights shouldn't point their swords at a child. She asks Cain if he is alright, and she states that he will be okay now that she is here. The girl then asks Diam why he didn't stop this, and Diam mentions that this is the boy who annihilated 50 orcs and saved the princess. Hearing this, the girl gets excited, and she asks Cain to have a duel with her. Diam addresses her as captain, and he mentions that she should introduce herself, and the captain states that they will talk with their swords. The duel then begins, and the captain uses boost, and she attacks Cain. They then fight a high-speed battle, and the other knights are astounded to see this. Cain then uses the clock-up spell to accelerate even more, and he defeats the captain. The captain then mentions that she has decided that she is going to marry Cain. This surprises everyone, and Cain states that he can't marry her as he is only 10 years old, and he knows nothing about her. The captain then introduces herself as Stefana von Liebert, and she states that she holds the title of Viscount, and she is the daughter of Duke Liebert, who oversees the Northern Forest. She states that Cain doesn't need to worry about their age difference since she is an elf, and she will live for at least 300 years, and she is quite confident about her looks. Cain then mentions that she is a duke's daughter, and she can't make decisions about her own marriage. Stefana states that Cain doesn't need to worry about that as when she left home she told her father that she would only return when she has found a marriage partner. Cain then states that it may be fine for her, but he still has to consult his father, and lots of other people. Stefana states that it's true, and she tells Diam to arrange a meeting with the king. Cain thinks that this is the worst thing that could happen, and Diam then drags Cain to the king. The scene changes to them talking with the king, and the king asks Cain why he is here. Stefana then mentions that she has decided that Cain and her are going to be married. This surprises everyone, and the king asks Cain to explain everything from the beginning. Cain explains everything, and the king asks him if he hasn't told her about Telestia and Miss Silk. Cain states that he didn't as this matter was supposed to be confidential, and Garm then asks Cain if he even realizes the position that Captain Stefana holds. Cain states that he only knows that she is the captain of knights, and the king then explains that the territory she comes from was originally a nation of elves. He mentions that the elves are all beautiful, and because of that they were often captured and sold into slavery, but here in Esfort, Esper, the first king's dying wish, there is no discrimination based on race. The king states that Liebert territory is no different than a self-governed nation, and Stefana is essentially a princess. The king then informs Stefana that Cain is already engaged to Princess Telestia and Miss Silk, and Stefana states that this means that Cain is extraordinary enough to be recognized by both the king and Duke Eric, and this just makes her want to marry Cain all the more. The king then acknowledges her feelings for him, and he states that she should first write a letter to her father Lyson, and earn his permission, and they will talk about this after that. Tefana agrees, and she takes Cain with her to write the letter. The king then states that he can't believe that Cain even defeated the captain of knights, and he wonders how he is so powerful. Diam then mentions that Cain did react when he asked him if he was a hero or disciple of the gods, and Magna states that they can test him by showing him a special book. Later Cain meets Diam in the training grounds, and Diam mentions that Cain looks exhausted. Cain states that he is fighting Tefana ever since that day, and she never lets him go until his endurance has reached its limit. Diam states that thanks to him their captain has gotten even stronger, and Cain asks Diam if Tefana has always been like that. Diam states that she has, and she always leaves all the night business to him. Tefana then comes looking for Cain, and before she could find him Diam drags Cain away, and he mentions that the king wants to see him. The scene then changes to Cain meeting with the king, and Cain asks them why they are all here. The king mentions that he has called Cain here because he wants to show him something, and Magna shows Cain an emperor-level magic text that has been passed down in the royal family. He states that it was written by the first king Uyatara Hirasawa, and Cain mentions that even the magic texts at the Palace Mage's library only went up to mega level. He looks at the book, and he thinks that he has never seen this spell, and he mentions that he knew that there was an even higher level. The king mentions that none of them can read this text, as it was written in a language called Japanese, and they only knew that this was an emperor-level magic text because they were told so. The king then asks Cain who he really is, and Cain thinks that he can't hide it anymore. He wonders if he is going to lose everything if they find out the truth, and he mentions that he will tell them the truth, but they have to promise him to not tell anyone about this. The king promises him, and Cain mentions that he has memories from his past life. Memories of a different land called Japan, and their first king also came from there. He apologizes for not telling them about this sooner, and Garm then asks him if he is really his son. Cain mentions that there is no doubt about this, as the gods told him this himself, and everyone is surprised to hear that Cain has met the gods. Cain states that he has met them several times at the church, and Garm then asks Cain to show them his stats. Cain then shows them his real stats, and they notice that Cain has the title God's Chosen, and he has level 10 blessings from all the gods. The king then mentions that if he told them about this title sooner, then everyone in this kingdom including himself would have bowed down to him. Cain states that this is not what he wants, and he mentions that he may have memories from his past life, but he is content with his life right now. He states that he had lost his parents and grandfather in his previous world, but here he is blessed with a wonderful circle of friends and family, and he can live a happy life. Cain then apologizes for keeping his past a secret, and he asks everyone to treat him the same way that they always have. The king understands, and Tefana then comes into the room looking for Cain. She mentions that she has received her father's approval for her marriage, and she takes Cain away with her. The king then tells everyone that they should not speak to anyone about this matter, and he hopes that Cain would protect this country, his family, and everyone else who seeks his help. Later Telestia and Silk ask Cain how he ended up being engaged to Tefana, and Cain states that this just happened after their mock battle. Silk wonders how many more fiancés he is going to have, and Tefana then comes looking for Cain. She drags him away saying that they should have a mock battle again, and Cain can't do anything about it. Thanks for watching part 6, the rest of the parts will be on my channel.